To me, enemies are a blast to design. The interesting thing about enemies is that they're never obvious, and yet to make it a challenge of something that you can come across surprises you, gives you a slight amount of familiarity so it's not so foreign that you don't know how to approach it or what to do. That's where the real challenges lie to me.
The main conflict in the world of Dark Void for Will, who is our main character through it, is really just you want to get home. But the Watchers have inhabited the Void, they've taken over, they've enslaved a lot of people there, so it's just this whole idea of how do I get back to Earth?
The Watchers are a reptilian alien race that has actually been subjugating humanity for pretty much since we crawled out of the sea. They lost their foothold on Earth, got kicked back to the Void, and have been scheming at how to basically make the hairless monkeys that we are kowtow and bow before them en masse again.
Show us the way to our salvation.
そうですね、ダークボイド自体はですね、まだまだ完成度が上がるゲームだと。
Inafune-san sat down and talked with us at an early stage about where we were working with our characters. And one of the key elements were some of the robotic characters that we were fighting. And they started off as pure mechanical characters.
We've got these robotic enemies and you know, fighting them is okay, but people aren't going to have that same feel as if they were fighting a living, thinking creature. So one of the first things that he did when he got here was look at our enemies and our enemy design and say, how can we make these living creatures? What can we do to make the player feel like they're engaged with something that's thinking and actually is going to bring the fight back to you?
I think getting that living thing behind the metal totally they sort of boosted our fiction.
So there's all kinds of different Watchers. They start out as these little tiny gross slug things, and those control some of the larger pawns that you'll be dealing with. And they slowly evolve to the Sarpa.
The Archon, the giant sort of cat boss, and the Flying Knight are basically vehicles for the Sarpa. And then their ultimate evolutionary stage is what we call an Elder.
And the Elders are actually the most humanoid, and they're the ones that can shape-shift.
In our fiction, the Elders have been manipulating human history by taking different shapes of world leaders and causing all kinds of problems for human beings.
In spite of Dark Void being a sort of Western-style game from genre and storyline, it's still a Capcom game, and Capcom, we go big, right? Our bosses are ridiculously big.
The Archon, which we've showed a lot, is this big kind of reptilian scorpion thing, and the way you approach that can be pretty fun too.
You can approach it from the front, and there's an entirely different sequence that occurs. If you approach it from the back, it's wildly different.
The enemies are definitely a big threat to Will, but one of the biggest threats is really the environment. The Void is unstable. It's falling apart. It's a dying dimension.
You have to kind of watch where you go. There are things that live in the Void that are pretty nasty.
The Void is a very, very dangerous place to be, which is the reason you want to get home.